What's going on, guys? Billy here again today. Today I am not actually going to start off this video talking exactly about the product I'm going to be reviewing immediately, but more or less going to talk a little bit about kind of why I do these videos even. Um, one of my friends had kind of known that I go through like a lot of mice, a lot of keyboards, things like that, and kind of always asked me to like what I thought about them, things like that. And one time I ended up just putting it in kind of a video form and sending it to him. And he's like, oh, you should make reviews of these sort of thing. You know, I don't really ever plan on becoming like hugely popular or something like that. I just kind of enjoy doing it whenever I get a new product, and it's always fun to talk about because I usually do anyways on like, I don't know, Mouse Review, the Reddit, and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, and I've had a few people kind of ask, and I'll kind of give a background on myself. Um, how I like come up with like so many items, so many like keyboards, mice, things like that. Um, and yeah, so basically, so here's kind of like I guess my little story. Uh, I've always played video games. It's always been a passion of mine. Um, I played professional Halo 2. A lot of my good friends are still from those days. And then after a long time searching for like a really competitive atmosphere, I found Counter-Strike, and it was at the start of CS:GO, um, and I've just been hooked ever since. I love it, which also gives me a good platform to test different mice, different keyboards, different headsets, because I think CS:GO is like a great standard for that, and many shooting games really are. Um, and then somebody kind of asked me how I afford all this stuff. Um, well, I will say I like a lot of the stuff that I don't plan on using. I generally sell afterwards. Um, but I am lucky enough to have made it through college. I do have a master's in computer engineering, which is it pays pretty nicely. So, um, believe me, I would give up that to stream, you know, Counter Strike all day or make videos for you guys. But that's probably not in the cards for a really long time. Especially, I do have a wife and I do have a little one, a 7-month old little guy. So. Yeah, so that's kind of the background on me. For those of you asking, I've had a few people ask exactly what I do with computer engineering. Right now, I do my title is systems engineer, which also incorporates network engineer a little bit, but it's mostly a wide variety of things dealing with very in-depth IT type work. I didn't really delve into like hardware creation or you know, software creation, anything like that. It just wasn't my suit. But yeah, so if you have any questions about anything like that, be sure and ask. I'm usually pretty much an open book on anything like that. I like to talk about it. I probably wouldn't do it as a career if I didn't. But yeah, that's pretty much it on me. But yeah, I have a pretty exciting thing to talk about today. It's not actually probably not that exciting because it's like one of the most widely used mice in the world, if not maybe the most, at least gaming mouse. And that is the Razer DeathAdder Chroma. Um, I just got this mouse in today, just came in the mail. Yeah, it's surprisingly I have not used a DeathAdder since it was like, man, like since it first came out ever. That's the last time I used a DeathAdder. Um, so yeah, I'm actually a little excited to unbox this, and I've heard the sensor on these is like really great. Um, It's not a 3310, it's a 3989, I believe is what it's called. And I've heard it's like really snappy, really responsive, like even quite a bit more so than the 3310s or even the 3360s. Um, so I'm kind of excited to try it. The only like skepticisms I have is that supposedly it's a very big mouse. I have kind of small hands, so that might not work the best for me. It might be really tough for me to get used to. I've heard that from a few people who have even like slightly larger hands than I do, so I'm a little worried about that. Um, Other than that, I do like ergonomic mice. Not always. I've actually asked about this on the mouse review subreddit a few times lately, about like a Sensei, a SteelSeries Sensei shaped mouse with a good optical sensor, and a lot of people had recommended the Hori Edge 101, which might be the next mouse I try out because it looked really interesting. And then there's also a Polish website or a Polish company that sells what they call the Dream Machine Pro 1, I believe, that is actually the exact shape of the Sensei. It's literally the Sensei shell with side buttons and a 3310, I believe it was, sensor. Definitely on the table for something to try out because I do like that type of ambidextrous shape though. But yeah, let's get right into it. Um, Here it is, box in typical Razer fashion. Looks kind of flashy. Not as flashy as maybe some, but it's definitely flashy and tries to grab your attention. Has like sponsors here on the side, pretty funny. I'm not a huge League fan, but that's Double Lift from now TSM. He doesn't even play for CLG anymore. Don't even really know who this guy is, to be honest. He plays for EG, apparently, though, in some sort of game. I would assume maybe like StarCraft or something. Might even say. No, doesn't say. But yeah, so let's get right into it. I already cut the tape just so it's easier for me to take out. So you get it out of the basic package, and it comes with your bright green Razer packaging. Comes with, but of course you need the Razer stickers. I mean, why not, right? And then also these are manuals, so basic stuff. What else are you gonna get with a mouse, really? I mean, actually, that's not true. I'll talk about that for a second. What else are you gonna get with a mouse? Zowie comes with extra mouse feet, which I think is freaking fantastic. That is a great idea. That is really something that I think is a cool idea. And I think more mice should kind of adopt that because mouse feet do get messed up, especially if you plan on using your mouse for a long period of time. I don't really have that problem as much as many because, as you can see and know, I go through mice like crazy, so that's just me. So let's get this thing out of the box. Okay, so first impressions. Definitely big, but not unusably big. It has a really good shape to it, I think. One of the better shapes I've felt in my ergonomic mice. Maybe not as great as my, still connected to the mouse bungee here. Maybe not as great as my, like, I do use a Zowie EC2A. I really like the shape of that. It fits my hand really well because it is a smaller mouse. I probably shouldn't have moved that because every time it does, it has to refocus forever. But yeah, let's talk about it for a bit. So first off, this is going to be a general impressions video. I'm not going to test the sensor yet or anything like that, but I would really like to make a video about it. First off, the first thing I noticed is this plastic isn't very nice. You would kind of expect a little bit more for a pretty expensive mouse. I mean, I think this thing retails for like $69.99, which is $70 is fairly expensive for a mouse. It's not crazy, but it's definitely not cheap. The plastic just kind of feels a little bit off. I don't know. It's just not the best I've ever had. It's not like the Mionix stuff. It might last a little bit longer than the Mionix stuff, but that's just because Mionix stuff is meant to just feel like really great in your hand, which it does. Second thing I noticed is these rubber grips on the bottom here. It's not bad. Kind of, I don't know. I guess my thumb and fingerprint placement is right on it, so that's pretty good. That's not bad. Keep it from slipping, possibly. The next thing we'll test is mouse 1. Pretty good click. Mouse 2, definitely not the lightest clicks I've ever had. Definitely not the hardest clicks I've ever had. Nothing akin to like the Zowie FK1 of previous models that was just like ridiculously tough clicks. Maybe not like the Logitech G03 that has G303 rather, that has like super soft clicks. Right in the middle, and I think this might be a good thing. Sometimes I did fat finger when using the G303. That's definitely a possibility with that mouse. I don't see myself doing it as much with this, and I never did it with the FK1, like hardly ever, just because it was a ridiculously tough click. Next, we'll see scroll wheels, not super elevated, definitely less than the EC2A, and a little bit more than the like Final Mouse 2016. Once again, that's all preference. I actually kind of like it how it is because my finger kind of glides over it rather than getting stopped by it. So that's a plus for me. My finger does kind of get stopped by my EC2A from time to time, weirdly enough. Let's look at the next thing. This always bothers me. As you can see here, look at those mouse feet. Look how small that is. Look how small those mouse feet are. It's kind of undesirable. I think the bigger the mouse feet, the better glide you're going to have. It's not always true, but it seems like the Zowie mice always have a really good glide. And I mean, look at the mouse feet on that. As you can see there, I mean, it's just way bigger. Like the single one mouse feet is bigger than all three put combined on the Razer. So that's kind of but you can always buy aftermarket mouse feet. That's always a possibility. Some people do that immediately whenever they get a new mouse. It's kind of here or there whether it bothers you that much. I'm sure it glides fine, to be honest, but it could be better, like with the Zowie stuff. Middle scroll wheel, I don't know why I didn't do this before. Actually has a pretty good feel to it. Not super stiff like some mice, not super easy like others. Nice amount of tactile feedback. Not bad, not bad. Not bad there. Big no-no again, braided cable. These cause friction, they fray, and everything else. I don't know why companies insist using these. I just don't. I don't know why. It's kind of annoying because these are really bad. They're really stiff to break in. Doesn't work well. But yeah, the Razer DeathAdder Chroma. There's no DPI button on it. I don't believe there is anyway. Yeah, no DPI button, which actually isn't a bad thing to me because I don't really change my DPI in game, so it's not gonna bother me. But side buttons, let's talk about those for a second. I actually really like that. So you can hear here. Good amount of force taken to push them in. The EC2A, that's like one of my really only big complaints about it, is the side buttons are really mushy, like insanely mushy, like almost no tactile feedback on them. And they press in really deeply. It's kind of weird. But yeah, overall, I like the shape of it actually. It actually has a nice fit to my hand, even though it's a very big mouse. It's almost like a bigger SteelSeries rival, but it actually has, I think, a little bit better of a shape. It's not as tall, I don't think, as the rival, but I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, I look forward to getting this in game and giving it a test out, see what it's all about. Hopefully do well with it. I would like to see how this sensor performs because this is the first of this type of sensor that I've used. So yeah, definitely look forward to giving it a try out. I'll definitely give you guys feedback. Be sure to like the video, comment if you have any questions about it or want to see any other specific mice. And always subscribe because I do put out a lot of these videos, or I will be trying to, as well as I'm going to start putting out maybe some CSGO tips and content. And yeah, we will go from there. Thanks for dropping in, guys. It's been Spilly, reviewing another mouse. Hopefully the next mouse I do would either be the Hori Edge 101, which is pretty exciting, I think, because I haven't seen a single other video review of it out there, or the Scream 1 edition from Final Mouse, but we still haven't heard anything about that, so I would say at this point the Hori Edge is more likely. But as always, guys, like I said, Spilly here. Have a good one.